Hello and welcome to the channel. Gav Axeman Spins. Today's video is a Vinyl Finds part 2 video for the month of October, as promised in part 1. Part 1 looked at the new stuff. There've been a lot of new stuff around records, not National Album Day in the UK, and some new kind of reissues and things. Part 2 is going to look at the pre-loved, the used, the second-hand, whatever you want to call it, vinyl. So I'm going to show you quite a few records. There you go. Had a bit of a look, what they call is it the mega haul or something like that, with some really good price points vinyl. We also have, and this might be of interest to collectors out there, one of these bad boys, a vertigo swirl. So I'll show you that one. It's a slightly unusual one. A couple of books and a bit of a response to David Atkinson's video on his vinyl finds in October, and I did a little record shopping, had a sausage sandwich out with Dave, and we had a kind of a tale of two record shops really in terms of experience. So Dave, I think, had a little mini rant about, you know, how record shops could improve their experience for the customers and maybe get people to spend more. And I've had a bit of reflection on that, so I'll dwell on that. I'll put a link to Dave's video in the comments. He made a very eloquent kind of points, as he always does. And I thought I'd share what I look for in a second-hand record store, because the bulk of my pre-loved buying is in record stores. I don't buy that much on eBay. Tinsy wincy bit on Discogs, and I will show you a couple of Discogs purchases, which is quite new for me. But I've took the view that if I've been buying records for 30-40 years and there's certain records I never see, if there's a mint or near mint copy on Discogs, it's worth me taking a little bit of a punt on it. So that's a new experience, and that's actually thus far been pretty good. So anyhow, used record shops, what is it we want? Well, first thing is you want them to exist, don't you? So because obviously in the glory days when I bought records in the 80s and CDs in the 90s, I could go into, say, Birmingham city centre, and there were easily 12 record shops that you could go around. You know, there was Reddington's Rare Records, the Plastic Factory, Swordfish, Tempest, Virgin, HMV, places like Woolworths, Boots, WH Smith's sold music. It was brilliant. You could literally spend the day, all day, and it was 2p on the bus as well, in record shops. And brilliant. And for many years that was my kind of hangout. You know, and it's been interesting going record shopping with somebody else who's got a passion for vinyl, because I'm used to dragging other people along, be it mates, parents, the good lady wife, and being very conscious of, you know, how long am I actually spending looking at this stuff before people's patience wear out. But great going with other people that are like-minded, because actually I think on a couple of occasions I've been out with some of the vinyl community members, which is John and Dave. It's probably been me that's been looking at me while thinking, crikey, how long are these guys going to spend looking at these records? So it's a bit of a flip side for me. So but yeah, so you want them to exist, but I think there's a couple of things that really help. So so you want a bit of engagement from the shop owner, and I think Dave's was a little bit disappointed in his local that he felt that was a little bit flat. You don't want to be nagged. You know, you don't want somebody standing over you like they are in Curry's or Dixon's, going, oh, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? What are you know? But a little bit of engagement, a bit of banter is nice, isn't it? Nice ambience in the shop, maybe a little bit of music, that type of stuff. But I think the thing I like is a clearly kind of designated new arrival section. That's the first. That's probably where I go first. Secondly, is there a bargain section? You know, a 4 for 20, or you know, a 5 for 30, or something like that kind of thing. And if there is like a £2 section or a £1 section, if, say, as Dave did when he went, he's, you know, spent, you know, 70 quid on more expensive records, and he's put a couple of £2 albums, is, you know, does it do the owner any harm? So I'll have those couple for free, particularly when they've been, you know, they've been sat in that £2 section for months or maybe years, you know, because they're gathered in dust. So a little bit of, you know, if you're spending a bit of cash, a bit of a discount. I think everybody enjoys that, don't they? But yeah, that's what I look for. But ambience is important, and I went to a couple of new record shops actually. So one is up the road from me in Bridgnorth, which has just opened. So I'm going to give him a plug because he was a lovely guy. Voodoo Valley Records. And this is a brand new shop in Bridgnorth. That's now the second record shop we've got in Bridgnorth in the Midlands. That's a nice little market town. So if you're in that neck of the world, there's now a couple of record shops. But he was chatty, but not to the point of being annoying. The shop was clearly laid out, so there was space to get around. The bins were not overstuffed. New arrivals hit you in the face. Everything was clearly labelled. There was some bargainy bin stuff on the floor, and then you got all your records by A to Z and in different genres. But what was great is I found a record for Mrs. Gav Axman Spins for £3, a bit of an 80s pop classic. Now that's just been reissued for National Album Day and would have cost £40 even I bought the posh coloured vinyl version that came out last weekend. I found a copy for £3 used, and it's absolutely immaculate, the vinyl, so well pleased with that. I then found one of my obscure kind of Decca compilations of the Rolling Stones, which I think I finally might actually be the last one. Keep saying that, but I think it is, for a £5. Because I found a couple of bargain bin kind of purchases, and the records are immaculate on these, I then spent a little bit more on one record that I've been after for ages. The month of Halloween, it's got Don't Fear the Reaper on, for those that know, and that will be coming up in the November finds. But I was well happy, so I spent about £20 in the shop in the end. But I can tell you now, if I hadn't seen the £3 and £5 purchases, I might not have been enticed to spend that extra, you know, little bit on something else. So great shop. He was a nice chap, lovely ambience, bit of music in there. You know, if you're going record shopping in Bridgnorth, it's one you'll call into every time you're there. And on the flip side, I went to another shop that was reopening. And he'd moved premises, and it's the first time I've been back since the move. And last time I was there, he said, the stock that's out's the kind of the stock I want to get rid of. I'm keeping the best stuff, and I'm going to have a nice new store with, and I've curated the stock a bit. Going to have less, smaller premises, but it'll be easier for me to manage. And I thought, oh great, I'll go and check it out. And the only thing really that was accurate in that is that it was smaller. So the stock that was there was pretty much exactly the same stock that's been there for donkey's years. But last time I was there, he was selling everything off at a couple of quid, and this time they were back to £4 and £5 and above. And the ambience of the shop had totally gone, because he was directly opposite a meat counter and a cake thing and a little coffee thing that served the market. So you were trying to look at the records with loads of people literally at your back. The records were facing forward opposite the butcher kind of section. Little kids were grabbing the records and pulling them, and it was just not a particularly great experience. He couldn't put any music on, obviously, because of where he was, and it was in a doorway going in and out of the market, and I've got to be honest, it was pretty disappointing, so didn't buy anything. So ambient stock, eye for a bargain. Model Langover in Dublin do this great. They have a clearly labelled records, so they'll have the more expensive stuff, but they'll have some mid-price stuff, and I'll go, you know, £12 or 3 for 25, something like that, to try and entice you to carry on looking and find yourself those bargains. So for me, that's what I'm looking in for a record shop. Good stock, reasonably priced, and if you've got stuff that's been there for ages, rather than leaving it at £8 or £9 and it's been there for 2 years, maybe put it in a 3 for 20 deal, something like that, just to entice people like me to spend money. It shouldn't be that hard. Anyhow, vinyl finds. That's 9 minutes of me talking about record shops. So vinyl finds. So what should we talk about first? Should we have a look at the Vertigo swirl? So this is an interesting one. So this was a Discogs purchase. Now, Vertigo swirl with a twist. So there's the label. I'll show you the record now. So this was a new one for me. I didn't realise in 1991 they must have revived the Vertigo swirl label, because that is actually the third album by All About Eve, which I've been after for absolutely ages on vinyl. Never seen it in the wild. Don't know why. I don't think it's a particularly expensive record. I picked one up on Discogs, didn't cost an arm and a leg. But when I kind of opened it all up and saw that label, I did have a little mini skip of joy and thought, oh, how cool is that? So there you go, that's the other side. So a Vertigo swirl from 1991. I know Martin on his channel, I'll put a link to his channel in my kind of description. He's just spotted a Vertigo swirl from 1978, the Dire Straits' first album. So they must have carried on doing them long after that 70s glory days. So there you go, a Vertigo swirl. So slightly changed descriptions there, but yeah, I thought that was an interesting one. I'll do the other Discogs purchase, and you'll see why I bought this in a minute. So obviously I did my visit to Ireland, looking for Undertones records. Found a best of. Back in Bridgnorth I found the second album. On my cheapy finds, which I'm going to show in a minute, I found some more. So I did order the debut, and this again was Discogs. This is a first press on Sire. Lovely glossy laminate cover. A little bit of spine damage. That's probably why it was quite reasonably priced. But the record's immaculate. Sire record, so well happy with that one. And you'll see why in a minute. So, where did I buy this big stack from? So, I was out and about in a day out with the wife, been to a castle somewhere, about an hour's drive away, which was advertised as a castle with copious grounds, and the copious grounds were, to be fair, it took me longer to put my boots on than to walk the copious grounds. So that didn't take long. We'd got there early, had a spot of lunch, and it was still only about 1:30. It seemed a little bit early to drive all the way home, and my memory reminded me there was a little antique centre not that far away. So, and it literally was about 6 minutes away. So off we drove. Dodgy car park in this antique centre, more of that later, but parked up, went into the antique centre. I like antique centres, you never know what you might find, and I've been there to this one several times, never bought a sausage there, because there is a little, whatever vinyl they've had was always ridiculously priced, apart from this time. So whoever stall it was, whether he's knocking it on the head or what, but everything was a £5. So all of these were £5 or less. So I'm just going to whiz through some of them. So let's start with, you may have guessed, the Undertones. That's their third album. So I'd got the second album, I found the third album for a £5, and lo and behold, the fourth album for a £5. And these are good albums, actually. I know John, the 6-inch pianist, has featured these a couple of times. So obviously I'd got the second already, found the third, found the fourth, or the other way around. So that's why I ordered the first on Discogs, but I was delighted to find that. So I've somehow, since September, managed to get all 4 studio albums by the Undertones and the best of that came out just after they kind of knocked it on the head. So delighted with that. So that was good. Can't knock them for a £5. This one was interesting. So Wishbone Ash Argus. I think a lot of people, it's a classic kind of rock album. Now this is I ummed and ahed at buying this. It's a Castle Classics and late 80s. I know they Castle Communications released loads and loads of budget CDs back in the day, and the quality wasn't always great. So I flipped the vinyl out, and it was immaculate. I don't think it's ever been played. Let's try and get it the right way up. There you go, Wishbone Ash. But in the dead wax, it's a porky prime cut jobby. So I was quite impressed with that. So that one sounds pretty immense, actually. So 1987 would have probably been one of the last vinyl kind of presses of that done before the CD era came in. So yeah, interesting one. That's again one of those classic albums I've been umming and ahhing about for years. Never seen a reasonably priced copy, but for £5, hey ho, couldn't leave that one behind. So what else did I find? Now this was a good one. I mentioned the Rolling Stones, I think, earlier. I'm always trying to find Rolling Stones albums. So I think this is the last Rolling Stones CD I bought from the 60s output, and I found a nice German copy of Got Live If You Want It, which is both rubbish and brilliant at the same time, because the sound quality is pretty abysmal, but the atmosphere throughout this is just phenomenal. So well worth getting. So a nice German copy. Played it through, £5, absolutely fine. I think it was probably a 70s kind of issue, but a nice laminate glossy sleeve as well. So well happy with that. That's, I think, I know I say this every time I find a Rolling Stones album, but almost my vintage Rolling Stones collection complete. Something totally different, but an 80s classic here. Propaganda, ZTT's third album. So obviously I've got the Frankie debut, I've got the Art of Noise, Who's Afraid of the Art of Noise, and then lo and behold the third ZTT release, this one popped up. So I think Mike at the Vinyl Spiral's a big fan of these, so I was delighted to find this one. I've got the CD years and years ago, so looking forward to giving that a listen. Something a little bit different, Procol Harum. This is I think the last album of the classic kind of years in 1977. Includes a side-long epic track, The Worm and the Tree, released at the height of punk. Been after, again, this is another one been after for yonks. Nice gatefold. And you know, fiver. Great nick as well. So happy with that. And that, I do believe, completes my Procol Harum vinyl collection. Something completely different again. Despite for years and years and years me avoiding Cat Stevens like the plague, somehow he's crept up on me, and I think I bought like a best of CD for £1, and it's been in the old multiplayer for yonks, and whenever I'm cleaning records I kind of listen to it. So I've started buying up some Cat Stevens stuff. So this is Catch Ball at 4, again a fiver. This is a Pink Rim Island jobby actually, which I was quite happy for the... no, it's not, sorry, it isn't original, but it had a custom label like that. So, but yeah, I think it's a first press in a gatefold, so cheap as chips, you can't really knock that, can you? So, happy with a bit of the USAF, or Cats, as he was called. Now, this was a good one, another 80s jobby. This one, I've had the... somebody lent me the cassette of this years ago. I copied it, and I've never found the CD cheap, and I've never found the vinyl cheap up until now. So this is the Pet Shop Boys remix album Disco, the first one, which is great. This is very much the first album, the singles and some of the B-sides remixed. So this is one of the first kind of remix albums of its type, really. But Opportunities, Love Comes Quickly, West End Girls, Paninero is a great one, Suburbia, and then I think In the Night, which... For those that remember, it was the clothes show theme, but yeah, so well happy with that. Okay, £5, can't knock it. Some 60s stuff. This is one of my favourite labels. So this is the worst of Jefferson Airplane, which is an ironic title because it's actually the best of. But this one came on the lovely Fame label, and I do get a bit nostalgic for the Fame label. And you know, I do think our record company's missing a trick now, where they're charging people 30, 40 quid for 50-year-old albums or even older. And when I was a kid, you could go into Woolworths, W.H. Smith's, and you had some really good records, like the first couple of Iron Maiden albums, Queen's first couple of albums, what you would call budget kind of release prices, you know. So why don't we have that now? You know, new vinyl, you know, $19.99, something like that, $15.99. Yeah, so it wouldn't be, you know, cheap, but it wouldn't be as expensive as some of them, you know. And I think all they did with Fame, you know, they might change the covers on a couple of them, got rid of gatefolds, but in essence, you got the record. So that would be great, wouldn't it? Who else? Don Henley, The End of the Innocence, as a fiver. Title track's a good one, isn't it? So got the first Don Henley solo album, so that does that. One for the wife. This was another Heart album. So this is Heart and Magazine. Fiver, can't knock that. I think this one was even cheaper. This was £3. So I bought Cameo's Word Up not long ago, and lo and behold, I found, I think, the album that preceded it, called Single Life. £3. I'll give you that one. That wasn't bad, was it? And then another £3 one. This is an Irish band from Ireland called Aslan. And this is a nice little promo copy. And this is their debut album, Feel No Shame. Now, this is one I used to have on vinyl donkeys years ago. It kind of went somewhere in the purge. I got the CD and I saw that for £3. I thought, oh, can't not buy that. And again, it was a promo, so great with that. 2 to go. So if you've watched previous Vinyl Finds videos, I've been slowly buying up original UK ABBA albums. So I found another one. So this has got Mamma Mia on it, SOS. What a good song that is. The ultimate wedding song, I do. So yeah, can't knock it for a £5, can you? So that was quite nice. And finally, so this is unusual. A coloured vinyl. So this one wasn't a vinyl. So this is one I bought from the shop that I went to with Dave. So he bought quite a few. I didn't buy so much because, to be frank, I thought a lot of stuff was slightly overpriced, which is unusual for me. But I was a bit like, no, I wasn't feeling it that day. And that might be why Dave was a little bit negative as well. But I saw this in the new arrivals. And this is the first album by the Pogues, Red Roses for me. Quite a great cover, that is. And this is a brilliant album, so I had to listen to this. But what's nice about this is a German release on a very nice coloured vinyl. So on Stiff Records, but a German version, and like a turquoisey colour. So I did and ah with that because I wasn't sure if it was an unofficial copy, but having done a bit of Discogs, it is legit. The cover kind of gave it away because it does show the signs of wear. If this had been pristine, I wouldn't have touched it, but I thought it was an unofficial kind of jobby. But yeah, you know, it was old enough to look its age, and it's 40 years old, so I think that was £12, so I was quite happy with that one. So yeah, bought it, I did. So yeah, so that's the used vinyl finds for this month. Two more things to show you. I do like a bargain book, and music books I try not to buy so many because I've got blooming hundreds of them, and with the records, the CDs and music books, you know, I'm groaning trying to keep shuffling things around to create space, but I could not let this one go. So this was a whole £2. This is Prince, The Beautiful Ones. This, when this came out, it was £25. It dropped to, at the best I've seen, it's about 16, 17 quid on Amazon, and then I've never seen it drop any further. So this is a nice hardback, and this contains the handwritten notes that Prince was working on, and almost like the first chapter of his biography, plus the tale of the guy who was working on it with him, and then sadly he died, so obviously it was never completed. But it's got some lovely kind of stuff in there. It's all handwritten, but they do print it as well. Some great photos. Hold on, let me find you a good photo of wee Prince as a nipper there. So £2, I couldn't not buy this, and it very much focuses on his early kind of days. So that was a £2 book find in a charity shop. And then in Oxfam, no less, I found another vintage rock book, The Longest Cocktail Party. So cover's a little bit grubby, but it's all intact. But £2. There you go, still got the sticker on there. This is the very first UK edition of that. So Beatles fans, this is the story of Apple Records and the general shenanigans that were going on there. Good little read, and I couldn't leave a vintage vinyl Beatles book behind for £2. And the man at the till was most upset because I think he was after it too. So so there you go. Thank you for watching. 24 minutes and counting. If you've enjoyed that, thank you. If you are already liking and subscribing, thank you very much. If you've watched this and you've made it this far and you haven't yet liked or subscribed, it would be much appreciated, because I'm very close to quite a significant subscription number in YouTube world. So not far away, so it'd be nice if we could just tip over the edge this week. So that'd be great. But thank you for watching. And what am I doing next? It's metal and rock month, isn't it? So it could be a ranking video on one of my favourite bands of all time. it could be the story of my first gig. So one of those two, and I will take it from there and see you on the other side. Thank you for watching. So the bit I forgot to tell you, the antique centre where all the records are a £5, I mentioned the car park. So on entering, you have to put your car reg in. And a week later, I got a lovely letter through the post saying, you owe us 50 quid, pay up or else. And if you don't pay up or else, it'll be 85 quid because you parked illegally, with a photo of the car reg of us entering and exiting this car park. So, to pay or not to pay, or to appeal. So here's a hint of advice. If you're going into one of those car parks where you have to put the car reg in when you enter the shop, take a photo of you doing it, and so you've got some evidence, because my car registration has a O in it, and I think somebody who shall remain nameless may have accidentally put a 0 instead of an O when entering the car reg. So I appealed, saying, could you please double check your records and check for the registration with a 0 instead of an O. And fortuitously, they did rescind the fine and basically told me off, saying next time make sure you enter your car reg correctly. But there you go. All those £5 records could have cost me another 50 quid on top, which would have defeated the whole object. But all's hell that wins well. Little coda there. Thanks for watching.